Folks up a teepee here on the main campus of Oglala Coast College, 3 Mile Creek, here at Kewachoni. We have coming up first is the senatorial candidates. No one is sitting here at the table yet. We will be hearing from 3 of the 4 candidates who are running for United States Senate. The general election is coming up on Tuesday, November 4th. 3 candidates who are in attendance are Rick Weiland on the Democratic ticket and 2 independents, Larry Pressler and Gordon Howie. The 4th candidate who is not here is Mike Rounds, the Republican candidate. He has chosen not to come today, but we have in attendance, and we want to thank very much Rick Weiland, past Senator Larry Pressler, and Gordon Howie for coming today. The event is being broadcast live on Keeley Radio and streamed on KOLC TV. At this time, I want to give the opportunity for each of the candidates to have a 5-minute opening statement. And we're going to start and move from right to left. And Rick Weiland will be up first with a 5-minute statement. Good afternoon, Rick.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Tom, Casey, and KILI for helping to get the message out in Indian country that there is an election here in November. It's a critical election. Senator Tim Johnson is stepping down, who served, I think, our state quite well, in particular served Indian country well. I'm very pleased to have Tim's endorsement as his sort of pick for succeeding him in the United States Senate. I'm also proud to have the endorsements of all 9 tribal chairs and tribes in South Dakota, as well as the endorsement of the Great Plains Tribal Chairs Association, which represents not only all 9 South Dakota tribes, but 4 tribes in North Dakota and 4 tribes in Nebraska. I have had a real passion for trying to make things better for folks that are simply getting left behind, who are playing by the rules and trying to get ahead. And we have a government, I think, that has lost its way because it's more interested in taking care of big money in this country than taking care of the average citizen in this country. Big money calls the shots in Washington, whether you believe it or not. All you have to do is look at public policy. We have a government that's no longer of and for by the people. It's become of and for by the lobbyists and the big political contributions. And we could have had better health care reform. I talk about that nonstop. But it was the big insurance companies that got in the way of a health care policy that could have been more beneficial to the American people. But instead, private health insurance is still calling the shots. I mean, we got some things, but we didn't get what I keep calling a Medicare option, which have allowed people to buy into Medicare as a choice versus private insurance. We still have an energy policy in this country that's driven by big oil. They're the ones that have the political contributions and the lobbyists. They're the ones that are telling us, to burn as much fossil fuel as we can get away with, and they're fighting renewable energy sources. They're fighting conservation, and we need to do better. And there's some stark differences even at this table, I think, when it comes to how we approach energy policy in this country. In regards to our treaty responsibilities and the obligations that the American people in our government have, this whole thing of sequestration that went down last year was just such an insult to Indian country, in that they were asked to take another 5% cut when their programs, our programs here in Indian country, haven't been fully funded for years. And all you have to do is spend the time that I've spent, throughout my career traveling in Indian country, visiting all the reservations. My whole effort this year and last was to get out there and visit every town in South Dakota, both on and off the reservation. I've been to every reservation multiple times. I went to all the powwows last year. I've sat down in the gas stops, in the tribal administrative offices, and I've just been having this ongoing conversation with what's going on, what's wrong, how can we do better. And it all comes down to the federal government, stepping up to the plate and making good on its on its obligations. And, you know, we need to do a better job of funding Indian health care. You know, we need to do a better job of funding Indian education. We need to do a better job of fixing the roads and infrastructure so that we can grow an economy here. You know, when you don't have basic things like that, you know, you really aren't getting a fair shake. And, you know, when we see a budget right now that's being proposed by Paul Ryan that would essentially cut taxes for millionaires and big corporations to the tune of $5.7 trillion over the course of the next 10 years, and would pay for it by going after Pell Grants, going after Head Start, going after Medicare, going after Social Security, going after the middle class and those that have the least to pay for those that have the most. It doesn't make any sense. So I keep talking about take it back. Take it back. In Lakota, it would be Ikikchu. Take it back. We need to take back our government from the big money influence that's taken it away from the American people and from our tribal nations. And I am really looking forward to this discussion. And I absolutely want everybody out there listening to know that this is such an important race to decide who succeeds Tim Johnson. You need a good vote in the United States Senate. I've said I'll ask for a seat on the Indian Affairs Committee, and I've been given a commitment by Chairman John Tester for that assignment. And I'm looking forward to being a champion. I understand what's going on out here. I understand the government's responsibility. And I am told my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was Rick Weiland, who is a candidate for the United States Senate on the Democratic ticket. Up next is a candidate running as an independent, is past Senator Larry Pressler. Good afternoon, Larry.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. I was just here in this area a few weeks ago. I was greatly honored to eulogize Gerald Onefeather, the late Gerald Onefeather, who is a personal friend of mine and the founder of this college, I might say. Back in the 1970s, I served in the U.S. House and then 3 terms in the Senate, and I can take my seniority back to the Senate to give power to South Dakota tribes and to South Dakota. At Gerald Onefeather's funeral, I traced our relationship, and a lot of it's the history of the tribe, in terms of efforts on the part of everyone for sustainability on the reservations. This morning, I just read in the Rapid City Journal about a new housing project here, which is partially federally financed, which is up for a Buckminster Fuller Prize. I didn't even know that such a prize existed in architecture. So good things are happening, but there are still great problems. And through the years, it was my pleasure. And by the way, at Gerald Onefeather's funeral, he had a whole wall of pictures up, and my wife said to me, "There's Congressman Larry Pressler." And I said, I was never that young and thin and with that much dark hair. And then in another place, there was a picture of a young Senator Larry Pressler. And I said, I couldn't have ever been that young. But anyway, I'm still feeling young, and I want to go to work for you back in the United States Senate. Part of my reason is to end the poisonous disputes between Republicans and Democrats, which hurt tribes. It hurts us getting our deficit under control. It hurts us in agriculture, and it hurts us in our state of South Dakota. But in particular, it's harmful on our reservations, because the problems are not Republican and Democrat. The United States Senate has not passed a single budget in the last few years. It used to pass 11 appropriations bills a year, including one for the Indian Affairs, and it hasn't passed one for many years. It just operates on a continuing resolution by voice vote. That is not good policy making. I want to end that poisonous disputes and get the Senate going. There are now 2 independent United States senators. It appears there might be a third coming from the state of Kansas, and I would be the 4th. The 4 independent senators could form a nucleus to really get the Republicans and Democrats working together, work across party lines in a nonpartisan way. And we could maybe get some things done for our country. We're just not getting things done in Washington. And that carries over to the Indian Affairs. It carries everywhere. Especially that's true of Indian Health Service. I am an advocate of keeping the Affordable Care Act, but improving it. And one of the improvements that I have is blending some of the Indian health care portions into the Affordable Care Act. I think that would be a very important thing to do for our country. There's a whole host of other things. There's the issue of economic development on the reservations. And I just met with the Rosebud tribe the other day, and they would like to get tilapia, that's a kind of fish, I hope I said it right, development there, aquaculture, so they can become more self-sustaining as a tribe. I'm proud to say that I've been endorsed in probably what's the leading Native American newspaper in America. That's chaired by Tim Giago, who endorsed me in an editorial about a week ago, and I'm very happy to have that endorsement. Also, I've been on various tribal areas throughout the state. Harriet and I have driven around our beautiful state and never seen it look so green and so good. But there are a whole host of other issues. For example, the community colleges are at a critical point because the state universities want to take some of their money. That's the truth. But we have enough money in our country. We don't have to cut back on education and senior citizens and Native American affairs in order to balance our budget. We can balance our budget by stop spending so much money on overseas military spending, where we get in the middle of all these civil wars. And I'm a combat veteran from Vietnam, so I can speak with some authority. We did not achieve our objectives in Vietnam, Afghanistan, or Iraq. In fact, we went just the opposite. We'd have been ahead if we'd have done just the opposite and stayed out. And I hate to see us get entangled. So in our foreign policy, we should take every effort not to get involved in these foreign civil wars, to relocate some of those troops back here in the United States to enhance our own economies and so forth. Where am I in time? I don't want to... 24 seconds. But in any event, also we need to enhance revenue to balance our budget. And that involves doing away with some of the corporate deductions that are unfair. And we also have to work very hard at spending money wisely in Washington. And that's what the two-party system has become a duopoly of receiving campaign contributions. I only have 1% as much campaign money as my Republican and Democratic opponents. I'm the true grassroots person in this campaign. So if you want to vote for a true grassroots campaign, vote for Senator Larry Pressler.
Thank you very much, Larry. That was Past Senator Larry Pressler, who is running on the independent ticket. Also running on the independent ticket is Gordon Howie. He's up next. I thank you very much for coming, Gordon.
It was my pleasure. You know, I've been to a lot of these forums and debates, and frankly, I haven't seen so much electronic equipment since my last visit to Best Buy. This is well covered with a multitude of different varieties of media. And so all of you watching from around cyberspace, I want to welcome you and thank you for the opportunity. If we start with endorsements, I didn't realize that was the order of the day, but I want to tell you my wife endorses me, and I could give you a list, but we are not here to talk about endorsements. I believe this is an opportunity for those of you who are here today and those of you who happen to be listening or watching to get an idea of who we really are, to see what's really in our heart. You know, you have been ill-served as Native American people over the last decades. I mean, how far back does it have to go? Where you have people come tell you things they thought you wanted to hear, excuse me, only to go away and do things that are not good for you or good for the next generation. And I believe it's time that we dispense with all that political rhetoric. It's time that we talk about real things, about real issues. And I believe that you have an opportunity today to get just a brief opportunity, a window into our souls. And I'm hopeful that before this forum is over, that you'll see who I really am, what I really believe, what's really in my heart for Native people. And I think one of the ways you can tell what's in someone's heart is by what they've done. I didn't come here to boast about what I've done, but it's important that you know. Is the echo just to me, or is it to everybody? Must just be my hearing aid giving me a boost there. I am here to talk about some of the things that I have done that will demonstrate to you what's in my heart. For some time, I've served as the CEO of an organization called the Faith and Family Organization. That means little or nothing to most of you, but let me tell you what we've done. I serve in that organization without a salary. In fact, I put my own money in it, my own dollars. What do? We minister the truth, and we reach out to help people in need. We operated until just recently an organization called the Community Thrift Store in Rapid City. Every single day, our deck was loaded with free merchandise and clothing, and people came without any, there's no qualification, you just come, help yourself to whatever you need. We literally sent a truckload of things to a reservation in North Dakota, the Standing Rock Reservation, where people needed clothing. And so we've been on the ground doing something to impact the lives of people. Now, I want to just tell you that some I think are a little bit surprised that a lifelong Republican would even come here, because you haven't been familiar with Republicans who bother to come here. There's one in particular that's missing today. I am a lifelong Republican. I make no apology for that. I'm running as an independent in this race, but I want to share with you what kind of Republican you're looking at today. I am a man who is committed to the foundation of faith and freedom that made this nation great. And I'm not bashful to say it. I am a believer in Jesus Christ. I am a Christian. But let me tell you a little bit about that journey, and my time is short right now, but my journey to find that faith came through the sweat lodges, the pipe ceremonies. I've lived with Native people. I'm a godfather to a beautiful young Native girl. I understand some things about your culture, about your problems, and I have a heart to see some of those things change for the better. So if you're looking at the heart, I believe that I deserve your vote, and I believe I deserve your support. And I also believe you will not be disappointed with Gordon Howie in the United States Senate.